Welcome back to Urban Next. I'm Malcolm. I'm here with Akida White, the creator and founder of JueParis. What's good, brother? So before we get started, I want to remind everybody to subscribe and hit the bell button down below so you can keep up to date with what we got going on here at Urban Next TV. So for people that have been following this channel, you know what we do. You know we have trying to put a spotlight on people in the urban community and what they've been doing. Lately, we have highlighted some brilliant, hungry young entrepreneurs in our urban community, and we have another one here for you today.
Appreciate it.
Founder of JueParis. What's up?
What's going on, brother? How's it going?
So for the people that don't know, what is JueParis?
So JueParis essentially would be a clothing line, something that I started in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Been doing this for some time now, design and getting into it. Branching off to a few art pieces, but still staying in tune with the original goal, and that's a clothing brand.
So what inspired you to start this clothing brand?
Unfortunately, bad clothing. Seeing other people do clothes and me purchasing clothing from other people and saying, well, why wasn't this done this way? Or why wasn't this color? Or why didn't they put this on the back or make this a little small? And after a while, you realize I could do it for myself.
Right. So you say you started this in 2014,
Correct.
right? So what was the final push? Like, you know what? Because I know people have these businesses in their head. They have these products in their head, but they don't want to take the leap. Like, what was that leap for you?
That go ahead would probably be my own ambition, my own goals, my own personal beliefs in life that working a 9 to 5 should only fund your dream, not be your 9 to 5 and be also your dream.
Dope.
So that push, yeah, absolutely.
So a question that I had when I initially saw the brand, and I know a lot of people see it like JueParis. What is the story behind the name?
So damn, I never told anybody the story. Wow, welcome. So, welcome in. So JueParis started. My father's name is Patrick. My mother's name is Juliet. So my middle name is Paju, which means both, obviously. So essentially, what I did was flip the name. I did it on Photoshop actually. First time I ever did it.
And
I seen Paju. I flipped it. It said JuePod. And I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? I just so happened at the time to be watching, if I'm not mistaken, it's 007 Spectre, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think Spectrum.
Doesn't matter. It's 10 of our movies, brother. So, I was watching the movie and the guy called him a Yank. He was like, I'm from London. He said it with so much pride. I was like, damn, you can't tell nobody you're from New York with that much pride. It's a different level of, this is a royal kind of feeling. And I thought, what name would give you that same feel or that same prideful feel when you talk about fashion or talk about clothes or even mentioning myself.
Right.
That's where Paris came from. So I essentially just added the wrist and JueParis. As soon as I finished typing on Photoshop, I closed the laptop for like 3 days. Flex bombed my own journey.
Yeah, that's dope. So was JueParis the first thing you've created, or?
I had a clothing brand before this called Cash Rules a few years ago. That was a little plaything, doing a little digital screening, cheap stuff basically. But that was college. I learned and I manifested the goal and the brand itself and the route I wanted to take for it, and I ran with it.
Why'd you flip up? Like, why'd you stop?
So that glass ceiling that a lot of people don't see, I foresaw rather. Where you think of a brand and you say, well, oh, that's cool, but where would I buy it? Where do you see yourself purchasing it? So a brand like Cash Rules, you're gonna end up in Jimmy Jazz, and that'd be the highest you could go. But I took something else, I flipped it, I went a different branding route, different marketing route, and as far as I can tell, I'm going different places. You understand? Whether it be my own store, or Barney's, or any of those high-end stores, I'm gonna go that route. But I'm gonna still stick tuned to what we used to.
So what was the learning process like the second time around?
You go through the small curves, looking at detail, paying attention to making sure that that this is different from that, and you can tell it from holding both in your hand.
Right.
And going that route with the brand showed me that everything else would probably be incorrect. Just believing in yourself at the end goal.
So we social media age, right?
Unfortunately.
So everybody now has a t-shirt line, a clothing line. How do you feel like you differentiate JueParis from every other
You just
brand?
said it. T-shirt line, clothing line. You would never call JueParis a t-shirt. See, it's the marketing path you take. It allows the consumer to situate your brand apart from everything else that they saw. That's your job as a designer. not the consumer shop.
That's fire. That's fire. That's dope. So, were you always selling clothing, or did you start off with other things first?
I mean, first thing when it came to designing for me was clothes. So that's the only thing. I mean, when you're younger, you sell anything that you can find from the hood. I sold Pokemon cards for a little bit, so I've been a hustler, I guess. But you know, I learned to take a God gift and manifest it and make it a dream and allow everybody to appreciate the art.
So let's expound upon that. So how was your upbringing? Like where you from? Let's skip. I don't know how we skip that. So, but where you from, and talk about a little of your upbringing and what brought you into fashion.
That's funny. My upbringing would probably take me away from fashion. I'm American. My mother and father from St. Kitts and Nevis, so I'm from the islands. My pops and my mother are a little bit older than everyone else's parents, so for them, having 2 pair of shoes was cool. You don't need much, but for me, I follow my brother, unfortunately. Buying tons of shoes, buying tons of clothes, and wanting to be the flyest on the planet, and pushing and striving for that, and then unfortunately Kanye West comes into your life, and then he just turns that Super Saiyan, you know, he takes everything to the extra. So as far as upbringing, fashion, I made it my own. It's the only way I could describe it. Definitely made it my own. Found my own style, found my own comfort, and I just ran with it.
So I asked people, like, if you're a chef, like I wonder if when you go out to eat, do you critique and things like that. So when you go out shopping, just to go out shopping, like, do you pick something up and go like,
constant.
Okay.
Even when you see it on Instagram, it's constant. It's like, why'd you do it that way? You could have made it. You could have detailed it a little bit more. You could have took your time with it a little bit more. You understand? You see product, and like you said, when you're a chef and you're eating somebody's food, it's like, it's too salty. For me, it's like, you overdid it with the colors. Or you shortchanged it with the colors. I know why though. You're trying to save your money, but you messed up. You shortchange yourself. You shortchange your brand. It's unfortunate, but people go through it. So yes, I'm a big critique of everything else, but I've learned to keep it to myself.
So I'm always been fascinated in any artist's creative process, right? When it comes to your designs and your seasonal designs, like what goes into that process of knowing, okay, this is going to be for the fall, that's a spring, you know what I'm saying, that's the summer. You know what I mean? Like, what goes into that process?
Sometimes it's color. Usually I start with a palette.
Okay.
I plan out color, and I look at colors next to each other constantly, and I say, well, this will work, this will work, this will work, this will work, this will work. You'll set a color palette, and if it falls into fall, it falls into fall. If it falls into spring, it falls into spring. Sometimes I try to stray away from the collections of season, but stay into a collection itself. And the color palette that was selected would be its own collection, and the color palette would be its own selection, whether it be a collection for the year or a collection for semi-annual or so on and so forth.
Dope. So I understand that JueParis took a bit of a hiatus recently, right? So what made that little break different from your first clothing line, when you know, okay, I'm done with this, but I'm just taking a break here?
Gotcha. The setup of life has to be in place before you chase a dream. You understand? You have to make sure that you can fund that dream or hedge that dream. So I had to work hard at my 9 to 5 and master that craft before I can perfect another, because that one's gonna take some money. And if I'm pushing for my own dream, I gotta fund it for myself. Can't expect anybody else to do it.
Dope. So how has social media helped you market and expand your brand?
So I'm used to keeping my brand to myself. JueParis has been my baby, and I do very limited pieces still. I plan on probably keeping it that way. I usually don't restock, so the brand staying limited, staying different, obviously makes social media grow because of the exclusivity of it. So social media I've made work for me. So one quote that I live by for that social media question that you have is 40-ounce van. He said, social media, well, he said Twitter at the time, is a cash cow. You just gotta know how to milk it. You understand? It's just your idea of how to use social media and make someone else gravitate towards you, not you chase them. So social media is a blessing. Thank you, Instagram and Twitter.
So like with social media, as young entrepreneurs, young creatives, we all have this burning desire to judge or to compare ourselves to what we see out there. Like, how has I know I'm guilty of it, but have you fallen to that, and how have you been able to, I guess, curtail that need to do so?
We all, unfortunately, as humans have to, but you have to separate yourself and not look at everyone else's competition, but as a route of how can I be better than that if you have to critique it. So when I see other clothing brands and I'm like, that looks so fire, I gotta find a way to do something like that, you just gotta learn how to make it your own, not do exactly the same thing. You understand? So that's clothing, that's fashion, that's art. From just like yourself, as you stated, you know, you see a lot of other people do the same thing, but what makes you different? It's the same reason why you gotta chase it.
So recently on your social media, on Instagram, you highlighted a lot of young creatives that you said were pushing the culture forward.
Correct.
What does that mean to you?
In Kendrick Lamar's Zane Lowe interview, he mentions a statement and he says, everything that I do is supposed to be able to relate to the people of the culture later on, and that's how you push the culture forward. That everyone has to relate as a whole. It can't just be a pass by of what you're doing. So every piece that I do has to be a staple point. It has to push the culture forward. Just like my friends, Gab Soul, who's a DJ. Every mixtape, I want to make sure that she pushes the culture forward, because if you shortchange yourself or shortchange your brand, you're gonna essentially shortchange the culture.
Definitely. We're trying to get her up here too. So.
Come on, Gab.
So where do you see JueParis going? I don't want to ask the 5-year question because I feel like that's a real cliche. Everybody has their answer prepared, but I want to know what you have prepared, or what your goals are like this summer. Like, you know, end of this latter half of 2018. Like, what are you trying to do to, and like you said, push the culture forward?
Do I tell you? Or do I?
You don't have to give specifics, right?
You know, I'm a very secretive person under the brand.
Right, you gotta keep it. You know, you gotta keep it under wraps. You gotta keep it close to you. Right. But if you can speak in the most general way possible.
More art, more appreciation of art, and you know, clothing unfortunately has become this thing where everyone's kind of closing it, and they feel like they can't branch out. But art is art. Art is art, absolutely. So architecture, canvas, woodwork, anything that I can or you can consider art will be a part of JueParis in the near coming future, absolutely.
Dope.
That's me telling you a lot, but not telling you a lot. I promise. You'll see.
Dope.
You'll see too.
You consider your fashion art, right? Would you consider yourself a curator or a fashion designer?
I'm a curator. Until I get a cut and sew. So if you know a tailor out there, come find me, please. But until you start taking fabrics and piecing them together, picking your pins, picking your stitching colors, picking every single thing down to the T, you can't necessarily consider yourself a designer. You sit behind a computer. You understand? JueParis is art to me because I make art before I put it on a canvas. Clothing just so happens to be my canvas. A lot of people think about it the opposite way, but you gotta look at the art first, and then you'll appreciate it, and then later on it'll be much better. So that's the 5-year goal for the next. That's the answer. Next question.
Okay. That's dope. So have you ever collaborated with another fashion designer?
Yes.
And what was that concept?
Lau NYC was the only person I've ever collabed with as far as a brand, and we made a shirt called Niggas in Paris.
Okay.
I mean, my best friend's Asian. I'm black. Brand's JueParis. It's Niggas in Paris. The shirt stemmed from the original shirt I ever made. It was a tower on the front, 2 stripes at the bottom. But his logo has a plane flying around.
Right.
So I took the plane and I flew them around the Eiffel Tower. On the back of the shirt, his favorite number is 2. My favorite number was 1. Put 21 on the back of the shirt and wrote in Mandarin, which is his national language, up at the top, Niggas in Paris.
That's fair. That's crazy.
Second time we did one, it was actually a Buddha man with camo rags, which is a fly guy with camo rags, Asian, and he had 2 chains on. Shout out to Coyote Co.
That's dope. So how important is collaborating with other creatives? Like
I love it. I love it. As a people, we need to collaborate and make everything better. You got to take the same concepts of making a community better to the arts. It's the same exact thing. It just pushes, once again, culture forward. So collaborative efforts are definitely a dope thing. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what. And
when
again,
it works.
Again, but that's an example of what we're doing here. I know for a fact his fashion line is dope. So I said, yo, I got a channel, I got a platform, come through.
It works. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, who are your inspirations, I guess, for curating fashion?
Oof. I'm a big Ronnie Fig fan. If you guys don't know Ronnie Fig is, that's the creative founder and director and everything of Kith. Ronnie Fig is he's very dope person, and to me he pushes the culture forward, and he steps out of the realm of where people expect you to go when it comes to clothes or when it comes to fashion or even when it comes to a store itself. You know, Kith has Kith Treats. He sells ice cream with cereal on top. This is a part of his store. He has it in LA, he has it in New York. It's like, did I really go to the store and get some ice cream? I went to go to this teacher.
Right.
You know, you got left with some ice cream, but you left with an experience. Even his stores are art. It's the same thing. Once again, art stands tall amongst everything else.
That's dope. That's dope. So, you brought some of, like, what is your favorite designs that I guess you created? You brought some here, you know, we'll show them to the people. What are some of your favorite designs?
One I didn't bring here was my varsity jacket. Can't wait till it's finished. You guys, you had something special for that jacket, but jacket is custom patches, fold through, 7 custom patches, spells out JueParis all over, genuine leather sleeves, full body, showing that collar's over, my apologies. But the jacket was made 4 years ago and designed 4 years ago, and I'm now making it. So when I talk about making pieces that are a staple point and that matter, that's a 4-year-old jacket that's still fire now. You feel me?
Yeah.
So that jacket is definitely one. It's my baby. The rugby. Oof, I used to love rugby when Ralph Lauren made them, and you go in the store and make a custom rugby. It was amazing, but I made my own. Woke up in the morning, I was like, this is probably something I want to do. And the rugby with the juju peeking out the 42, that's another piece. And then of course the originals, the Forever Paris 1, Forever Paris 2, and Forever Paris 3. Those are my babies. The original T-shirts. They'll come back at some point, but once again, those ain't involved. And the juju sweaters, nobody ever get those again.
when do you decide, like, these, like, when you make pieces, when do you decide, like, okay, I'm not putting this one out? Because I remember seeing you, we went to the same school, right? I remember seeing you with something. I'm like, oh, what's that? You was like, yo, this is a 1-on-1. He's like, yo, nobody's getting this.
No one's getting it.
So how do you decide on who gets, or if I'm gonna put that out, or I'm gonna stash that one?
Well, it goes back to the color palettes. So if I set a palette and I know that one color would work out and it would be a little bit redder, it's usually black. So unfortunately, so I like to stay away from the blacks too often, but the black one usually is a staple point in anything. So if I have a color palette that have pinks and yellows and greens and reds, when you see a black one, it's like, maybe. So I usually do a black one for myself to see what it looks like.
Okay.
Ends up being a sample, ends up being nice. People see.
You end up keeping it.
Exactly. Then it's mine. Then it's a 1-of-1.
You say, yo, this is a 1-on-1.
There's a few 1-of-1s. There's a few people who have a few 1-of-1s.
That's okay. So how do you decide on your price point when you're something? Because I know you want your vision for JueParis is, like you said, to be, you know, high fashion.
Correct.
So how do you
Well,
decide?
it's a mixture of street and
street,
high fashion,
okay.
but yes, absolutely. As far as setting a price point, you have to know your demographic, but you also have to know your product and have faith in it. You understand? So when you're setting a price point, it's not so much to, this times when I lose money when I'm putting out product, but you got to know what it's worth. What am I giving to you that you can feel that if you've seen it on a hanger in the store, you would know how much it's worth.
Right.
When I walk into stores and I pick up a sweater, or I pick up a jean, or I pick up any kind of product, a bracelet, whatever, and I hold it in my hand, I can tell you the price. I know what it's worth. I can feel it. You understand? It's just what someone values their own brand at is where they actually add on their little tax to it. But I try to stay fair with my demographic.
Okay, so what I wanted to know personally, right?
Shoot.
Is when writers want to hone their craft, they read their favorite author's work, right?
Right.
And things like that. When cooks want to try something new, they also, you know, they study somebody's work. Whose work do you actually like study, or like have you ever like read somebody's autobiography that like kind of captured you and you want to emulate that but still make that your own?
I like to believe that I think a little bit different than a lot of other people.
Okay.
So I try not to jump into someone's life and try to make it my own, but
Okay.
rather piece everyone together and find the goods and everything. But the person who has the most usual is Kanye West, but that's Ye. You can't really run away from him. Unfortunately, he influences a lot of art. Even Elon Musk, who owns Tesla, said that one of his greatest influences was Kanye West. See what I mean about art?
Yeah.
It could be taken from anywhere. And also, Elon Musk is really a great guy too. Does a lot and pushes the culture forward, but decided to do something different, but made it his own. Took electric cars and made it cool.
Dope. So, where can you be reached, and where can people find some of these dope pieces that you have?
So I have JueParis on Instagram, at JueParis on Twitter, no underscores and nothing special like that, and also JueParis.com, of course. Absolutely.
Dope. So I'm Malcolm. This is Akida White. This is Urban X TV. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to visit JueParis.com and add them on social.
Share with your friends.
Share with your friends, because I feel like this is gonna be the next big one.
Not this hoodie though. You can't have it. It's not for sale. Sorry, sold out.
See, missed out.
Unfortunately.
Too late. But we got some more dope stuff coming. Alright, so this is Urban X TV. Peace.
Peace.